Hey, my handsome ladies and gentlemen, this is Shmeaty. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. Where have I been for the past week, you might ask? Well, I'm glad you did. I found a team that is exceptionally strong in the current Great League Remix format, and I was originally going to put a video out when I hit Expert with the team, but decided I didn't want a video repeat and tried to push for Legend. And from the thumbnail and title of this video, you can tell I was successful with it, so let's go ahead and see how that was possible with this team that on paper may not seem like it would be a Legend team. We're going to be leading Stunfisk into Tinkaton, and Tinkaton is one of the Pokemon that we are targeting with this team composition. We're ABA strong to it, and I figured it would be a lot more of a factor in the meta than it actually ended up being when I started pushing towards Legend, but I digress. I'm just yapping now. We're going for a sick catch of a surf onto the Goodra, and they save switched a Jellicent into our Unova Stunfisk. So in game number 1, we're immediately seeing the core breaking potential of Ufisk, which actually was the reason I put it on the team. And this core of the Typhlosion and Goodra is one that I ran before, I believe last season in the Open Great League, and I wanted to try it out here. Turns out it's a winning one. Nevertheless, they are going to get farmed down with their Jellicent and bring in Claydol. Claydol is going to have to absorb quite a few Mud Bombs here, hitting us for super effective with the Mud Slaps, but I wouldn't dare bring in my Typhlosion quite yet. Now we are going to continue to chip away at the Claydol's HP, hoping they continue to no-shield all of these Mud Bombs. Mud Bomb number 3 lands onto the Claydol. It is aggressive pivot into Typhlosion time, and they are going to keep farming, but they farm up so much energy that is not going to be particularly useful for them anymore. In comes the Tinkaton, but Tinkaton is in the one shield scenario versus a Typhlosion with 60 energy stored. Now 80 energy, we reach the double blast burn. And although we were debuffed with a Rock Tomb, that is not going to matter. Blast Burn number 1 grabs the shield. Blast Burn number 2, Tinkaton will not be able to withstand this damage. Big boom for the end. We've got a big core breaker in the next lead at Stunfisk into Shadow Whiscash. We are going to have to leverage our energy pretty well here in order to get this Pokemon off our screen. They are going to now switch into a Corviknight as a response to our Goodra. Goodra's going to fire off Thunder Punch number 1, and Corviknight is going to be taken below 50% HP from that move. I'm not going to shield my Goodra here. It's tempting, but I'm not going to. I'm looking to go for an outpace here. They go for the payback. That is some big damage onto our Goodra. Looking for an overfarm, trying to get the Corviknight as low as possible before throwing this Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch grabs the shield. And now, we know they have payback, but I kind of just have to bring in Stunfisk here. It's a little awkward, but we are going to commit to a full farm down of this Corviknight. However, Corviknight has a lot of energy from farming down our Goodra. This is going to allow them to make a second payback, and this is trouble. Payback number 2 nearly KOing the Stunfisk, but not quite. Back in comes that Shadow Whiscash. And Whiscash not going to be having too much fun as it's now met with the double Mud Bomb. Stunfisk firing off the next Mud Bomb, but I believe it sacrifices its life to do so, as we no longer have the Stunfisk. In comes a Shadow Primeape, but Shadow Primeape switching in when it did means it is not going to be able to make a second move here. Rage Fist number 1 will get my shield, but now we have 100 energy on the Typhlosion. I'm clicking on the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch is likely going to grab a shield from the opposing trainer. They know I have 100 energy, so they just concede. GG's. Alright, next game, Unova Stunfisk leads into Tinkaton. And we are going to see the Tinkaton is staying in, throwing one Fairy Wind and conceding the match. Very well played by both trainers in that match. Moving swiftly along, it is going to be Unova Stunfisk picking up another nice lead into the Greninja. Greninja is going to be able to strike first with a Hydro Cannon or a Night Slash. I'm opting to call a bait of a Night Slash here. Unfortunately, there was no bait to be had there. I'm firing off the Discharge. Discharge onto the Greninja would do way too much damage for them to no-shield. I play into the losing CMP tie here intentionally, so I can either grab the energy from the Greninja or a KO. We're bringing in the Goodra, and fortunately, since the Greninja didn't get a boost on that Night Slash, we don't have to fear any energy from it. I'm going to no shield confidently here. A Night Slash is not going to do nearly enough damage, but they are able to reach a second Night Slash on literal 1 HP. That's fine by us. We have a Typhlosion up a shield in the back. It's a Fortress Charge-a-Bug combo that gets absolutely soloed by Typhlosion, making an appearance on the field. Next up, Stunfisk into the mirror. I am going to look to farm up past the initial Mud Bomb, as I wouldn't want them to catch it onto a flying type. They are going to fire off their Mud Bomb at my Stunfisk, and now I'm throwing, once we get one past the double up. Unfortunately, they read me like a book and bring in Tropius for the triple resisted Mud Bomb catch, but that is not a very safe switch when I have Typhlosion on the team. They're going to be able to fire off a move here. Really don't want to no-shield this, as an Aerial Ace would get me very close to air slash farm down range. Unfortunately, they live that next Incinerate on 1 HP, and we're already at 100 energy here, so unfortunately the extra Incinerate we get from that is not worth a lot. It is going to grab both shields. In comes the Stunfisk, clicking on the Blast Burn. Blast Burn grabs the shield from the Stunfisk, and Blast Burn number 2 will be a CMP tie on their move. They double shield the Stunfisk, and this is perfectly fine by me. I'm gonna, of course, have to let my Typhlosion go down here to a Mud Bomb, but now I have my choice of either bringing in Goodra or Stunfisk. Bringing in Goodra here. In the back, it's going to be Togetic. Togetic is going to be met with massive amounts of Stunfisk energy saved from earlier on in the game. Discharge number 1 is a very underwhelming move and doesn't do a whole lot of damage onto the Togetic, but hey, at least it's going to nearly pick up a 2-shot. Discharge number 2 onto the Togetic will come very close to KOing. One further Thunder Shock will, and the opponent's going to resign the match. GG's. In the next game, it's going to be Unova Stunfisk leading into Toxapex, a very nice lead. Toxapex immediately switching out into an Umbreon as their safe switch, and I'm going to build up to just before they get the move and get a sneak and a catch of the foul play. This is an amazing spot to be in if you're the Typhlosion. They're going to fire off some more energy here, but now I'm just going to put up a shield. I don't die to 2 foul plays, but I do die to 2 foul plays plus the snarl damage. I'm going straight for the Blast Burn here, looking for a shield or to punish a no shield from the Umbreon. Umbreon is going to be able to fire off another move here, and I have a decision to make. I'm looking to invest into the Typhlosion. In comes Greninja in the back, but I have a Thunder Punch for this Greninja, and now I'm not going to be able to make another move, so you're going to see me immediately pivot into the Goodra. And since they pivoted this Greninja, they're not going to be able to do very much of anything outside of throw Night Slashes at me that are never going to KO. They're at Night Slash number 2, and shy of them getting a boost here, we are in a very good spot. Looking to apply massive amounts of pressure onto the Greninja, throwing an Aqua Tail just before they're able to reach their next move. They are going to just let it go, realizing they need a shield for this Toxapex. However, a Thunder Punch is going to be reached onto this Toxapex, and at this point, there's not really a whole lot they can do. I decide to let them farm down the Goodra to preserve the opportunity to switch in case I need it, but I realistically just don't. Throwing a Discharge at the Toxapex. Mud Bomb is the more efficient move to go for here. Both are single stage super effective, so slight miscalculation by me there. They attempt to catch on the Umbreon, but even that wouldn't have saved them. GG's. In the next game, Stunfisk into Tropius, and Tropius generally runs Air Slash as its fast move of choice, so this is a very nice lead for the Stunfisk. I'm looking to build up to 7 Thunder Shocks and fire off a Discharge here. This is a little bit of a war of attrition because they also can hit back for the super effective Leaf Blade. But I don't really have to respect it because it's a Tropius and it's not going to do a whole lot of damage anyway. It does do about 50%, but I can look to pivot out after this next move. Throwing Discharge at the Tropius, and now they are going to not throw their move instantly, which came as a surprise to me. In comes a Dusknoir. Dusknoir gets 3 hexes off there, but that's only enough for a Shadow Punch. They're also non-Shadow, so that's not ever going to prompt the shield from me. I go for the Aqua Tail here, hoping to get a shield or a knockout on the Dusknoir, but they are very far from being knocked out there. Now they have enough for a Dynamic Punch, so I'm definitely going to shield this up. They go for another Shadow Punch. A bit of a misplay because they were only making one move there anyway. They're going for bringing in the Tropius here, but Nary Lace is not going to be enough to KO the Goodra from this range, so we bring in the Typhlosion, and unfortunately, I'm met with a Greninja. Greninja firing off a move here, and they throw the Night Slash, but that is a misplay, allowing the Typhlosion to make a Thunder Punch and force a shield from the Greninja. This is a terrible spot for the opponent. Now I can freely bring in either of my other two Pokemon, as we know. Unfortunately, Goodra is very low on health here. They're going to fire off yet another move at the Stunfisk, and this is going to be another Night Slash. I'm in a pretty precarious position where I do have to shield up Night Slashes here, and they do make another one pretty soon. I bring in the Goodra. I think, however, they predicted that play and got the catch onto their Tropius. What a sick catch by the opposing trainer, but it just so happens that we're able to farm them down in time, make the last second discharge, and that's a good game. Getting into the next game, it's going to be a pretty interesting lead as Stunfisk leads into a Shadow Golduck. Shadow Golduck wants nothing to do with that lead and safe switches into Meganium. Meganium is going to build up to the Earthquake here, and I have a decision to make. Am I going to respect it? Absolutely, I'm going to respect it. They full send the Earthquake, and Meganium's getting farmed down for 100 energy on our Typhlosion. What do you decide to bring in? They bring in the Golduck, but Golduck is going to have a tough time as Typhlosion's making double Thunder Punch here. They are going to be able to make a last second move here, but that's a-okay by me. I'm just going to double shield my Typhlosion, and Cross Chop is going to grab our final shield, but in the back it's an Abomasnow. We've got the back-to-back Thunder Punches, and do you think an Abomasnow would ever no-shield this move? Absolutely not. So another Thunder Punch will either grab the shield or the KO on the Abomasnow. We bring in the Stunfisk. Stunfisk is easily going to be able to take a Weather Ball or an Icy Wind, even an Energy Ball if they decided to throw that. And I overfarm way too much for absolutely zero reason and play this game way closer than it had to be. But we're going to throw the Mud Bomb, and the Mud Bomb is more than enough to KO the Abomasnow from that range. GG's to this trainer. Getting into the next match, and what a lead. Stunfisk into Steelix, and Steelix is all now switching over to Thunderfang. That is a truly terrible matchup, as although our Thundershocks would be double resisted, their Thunderfangs would be triple resisted, and so that would be a truly terrible matchup for them to stay in. They are going to safe switch into a Primeape, but Primeape not going to be having a whole lot of fun, and the reason being is because they CMP'd on a second Rage Fist. They give up a shield, and now we are just going to be able to fire off this next discharge, bring in the Goodra, and they are going to look to commit to a close combat, not quite able to get there. Back in comes the Steelix, and Steelix, being their best response to the Goodra up energy and up a shield, is very promising for us. Aqua Tail, nice amount of damage onto the Steelix, but they are going to be able to retaliate with a Breaking Swipe now. Breaking Swipe does get the debuff, and I'm going to overfarm as much as I can before throwing my next Aqua Tail at the Steelix. We know this isn't going to KO. Even if it wasn't debuffed, it probably wouldn't. I am now going to pivot into my Typhlosion as they do the same with their Pangoro. Pangoro firing off a potential Night Slash here. That was only enough for the Night Slash. They get the boost, but it's just not going to matter. We're going to be able to grab the shield from the Pangoro with this Thunder Punch, and that is to Incinerate range. And the Pangoro does not have enough residual energy to make another move here, so we're going to be able to get the Incinerate down. Steelix won't even be brought back in. GG's to this trainer. This video is probably serving as therapy for those of you who are sick and tired of the Toxapex lead. Toxapex safe switch into a Dusknoir. Dusknoir is going to be met with a Mud Bomb, and we are going to go for a Chip and Dip strategy, bringing in the Goodra. Dusknoir has a pretty pathetic HP stat, firing off the Dynamic Punch, and that doesn't even two-shot. However, with these hexes, it would pretty much come close, so I am going to shield. They go for the second Dynamic Punch as they're only making one move there, and now I get the full Dragon Breath down. In comes the Toxapex once again, but we've won switch advantage, and we're going to be able to clap back at this Toxapex for massive damage. They aggro pivot into their hard answer of the Goodra without seeing my third Pokemon, but my third Pokemon is an answer to this Alolan Ninetales. A Psyshock wouldn't do too terribly much damage. It does do about 60% to the Typhlosion, but what are they going to do, farm me down with Ice-type Fast Move pressure? Absolutely not. In order to get rid of this A9, however, we are going to need to keep the Typhlosion alive, but that serves me quite well as we get to the double Thunder Punch, and Brime is a truly terrible move, so it's never just going to KO the Stunfisk, as the Stunfisk is still pretty much full on HP. Thunder Punch number 2, they just concede the match by letting it go. GG's. Check this out, what a quality game. I'm at the start of a match and they're showing me the Urshifu event details. You love to see it. Pidgeot lead into our Stunfisk, a truly fantastic lead. They are going to safe switch into a Claydol. Claydol is going to not build up to the Ice Beam, so we're not going to respect the Rock Tomb here, and we're going to be able to farm up quite a bit and go for the double Aqua Tail. Unfortunately, I throw that energy on alignment there. Very big misplay by me, and now that Aqua Tail is going to be debuffed, but still grabs a shield from the Claydol. Claydol, recognizing it has a lot of play in this game, is going to double shield the Aqua Tails, and that puts me in a truly awkward position here, as they are going to be able to get off a Rock Tomb before my Incinerate lands, meaning that my Incinerates are now doing absolutely pitiful damage onto the Claydol. Claydol, we counted to 5 here, so we know this isn't an Ice Beam, but it's a Scorching Sands, and Scorching Sands does a tremendous amount of damage onto the Stunfisk. Stunfisk now very low, looking to land Mud Bomb after Mud Bomb on the Diggersby. The opponent does not have any shields, and we have one to play with. We are going to fire off a second Mud Bomb at the Diggersby. Diggersby plays into the losing CMP tie. This is absolutely massive for us. We need some sort of a misplay from the opponent in order to get back into this game. Diggersby gonna be firing off the Fire Punch, as that was the CMP tie. We're going to bring in Typhlosion, click on the Blast Burn as soon as we get it, but they catch it onto Pidgeot. I have to go for an undercharge here, and it has to be perfect. We get an undercharge, we take 2 Gusts, but we get 2 Incinerates in the process. What is it that they decide to bring in? This is going to be massive in this endgame. In comes Diggersby. Diggersby is going to fire off a Fire Punch that would easily KO from this range. I'm going for one further Incinerate here. I need this Thunder Punch to KO. It's double resisted. Diggersby's very bulky, but it's low enough. In comes the Claydol, but Claydol is not going to be able to survive this Blast Burn. Blast Burn KOs the Claydol, and we win a very close game. Getting into the next game, it's going to be Stunfisk leading into Swalot. Swalot, very nice for us to catch on the lead here. I'm going to build up and not throw my energy straight away, because again, don't want a Mud Bomb to be caught on a potential flying type, and waiting turns is basically a dead concept in this game at this point. They are going to fire off another move, or excuse me, the first move on the potential CMP tied to our next Mud Bomb, which could have been pretty bad for them if I just decided to click on my brown move there, but I guess it is what it is. Clicking on the Mud Bomb, gets caught onto a Charjabug, but that is free eats for Typhlosion. Typhlosion licking its lips at the prospect of a full farm down of the Charjabug. Charjabug didn't even throw a move. They attempted to go for good timing there, but it unfortunately is not to be. In comes the Swalot. Swalot has some residual energy, but my Typhlosion has 2 shields here, and now with 100 energy, Typhlosion is about to go on an absolute rampage. 100 energy Typhlosion. What do they have in the back? Mightyena in the back. It's a Shadow as well. Shadow Mightyena on Sucker Punch doing a massive amount of fast move pressure. I undertap the next Thunder Punch here, as I would get farmed down otherwise. Thunder Punch lands onto the Mightyena, and it's going to be Goodra getting a free farm down. GG's to this trainer. Getting into the final game of the video, and more Toxapex therapy for the road. It's going to be Stunfisk leading into the Toxapex one last time, and they save switch in Umbreon. We all know what this team is, as the Remix Cup is littered with this same exact team. they're going to fire off a move at the Typhlosion, but we get the sneak of an Incinerate, and I could have potentially gone for a Thunder Punch there, settling for the lesser damage there. I'm hoping they don't realize that a Last Resort is needed for the KO, but they do, and the Last Resort is thrown, taking our Typhlosion out of the game, and not even able to throw a move with it. But we're not going to shield it up, as we know what the remaining 2 Pokemon on this team are, so we are just going to build up a massive amount of energy with the Goodra, and now in comes the Stunfisk, unleashing Mud Bomb after Mud Bomb. What's the response from the opposing trainer? They play into the losing CMP tie. However, unfortunately, this Mud Bomb will just not be enough to KO the Toxapex. Toxapex, very bulky, eating 2 super effective charge moves there. Not a lot of Pokemon that can do that. Brine, a truly terrible move, and it's only going to be able to just allow the Toxapex to Poison Jab us into 50% HP. Oh my goodness, that damage is truly pathetic. They are going to tank a Mud Bomb on their Umbreon. I throw on the losing CMP tie here, unfortunately, but I'm just going to commit shields onto the Stunfisk. Stunfisk shields up a Night Slash, and unfortunately, from the range I'm at, I have to shield up Night Slashes because I'm pretty confident this is Night Slash plus Water Shuriken downrange. 100% after looking at how much those Water Shurikens are doing, I would have gotten farmed down if I didn't double shield the Stunfisk here, and now we're going to overfarm just a little bit. They do have a shield remaining, so I throw 2, and the move here, I'm 1 off the next. They decide to no shield, 1 further Thunder Shock and a Mud Bomb, and now the Umbreon has a decision to make. They shield up the Mud Bomb, but that's not the move that's going to do more damage. In comes the Goodra with the Aqua Tail loaded, and just in case that's not enough to KO, we've got the Thunder Punch. It does 5 more base damage. May as well click on the Thunder Punch. That'll handily take out the Umbreon. That is a GG, and we've got a surprise here as I have broken my curse. Mr. 3-2 to Legend, no longer a 5-0 set at 29.95 ELO, will always mean Legend rank. Claiming that set, it's 30.66, and a second screenshot for the boys, and with that, Season 22, I bid you adieu. If you made it to this point in the video, thanks so much for watching. I want to apologize very quickly to the regular viewers for the severe lack of content over the last week. However, I wanted to put out a good Great League Remix team and show that it is tried and true. This team took me from 2450 ELO to 3066. That is literally ace rank to Legend within a week. And not only that, I should be placed at 3066 within the top 500 of the global leaderboards as of today, May 9th. So if you guys need a Great League Remix recommendation, I can't recommend this team enough. It worked for me, and if you guys try it out, I hope it works for you. Let me know in the comment section down below. But with all that being said, thanks once again so much for watching. I've been Shmeaty. I hope to see you all again next time, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.